to consolidate our understanding of what the video says. So let's go through the slides so we can consolidate our understanding of life cycle costing as per the video. Okay, so we look at the definition is, say, it tracks, life cycle cost is a technique that tracks and accumulates actual costs and revenues attributable to each product from its inception to abandonment. So what that means is from its inception, not from its launching. You know, our traditional costing technique does not look at the cost of the product before the product is launched to the market. So it only considers the cost of the product from when the product is launched to when the product is, withdrawn from the market. Okay, so but it does not look at everything else that comes to being during the development stage. Okay, so life cycle costs are all costs associated with the product for its entire life cycle. And the entire life cycle might be months, it might be weeks, it might be years. So it depends on the type of product that we are looking at. Okay, so let's look at the stages in a product life cycle. This is applicable to most products and, of course, services. The chart of the life cycle is plotted according to sales and the time period. Okay, the sales revenue and, of course, the time period. Okay, so the fourth stage, as we can see on the chart, is the development stage. What is this stage? This is the stage whereby the product or services is being developed. Okay, just like a human being, this is the pre-birth stage. This is when you have not, in fact, been born to the earth. So that is development stage. Okay. Then we have the next stage, which is introduction. Then that means, you know, everything about you have been fully developed, and then now it's time to, you know, go through the universe, to be introduced to the universe. The same thing here. This is the period whereby the product is launched to the market. New product and it's coming out for the first time. Or even it might be an old product, but that has been modified. Once it's introduced, it is the launching of the product. Then what happens if it is introduced? It does not just jump to maturity, but it grows. So that's why you have the growth stage. After growing cannot be continuous. When you grow, just like human being, you will grow as an adult, but you will come to a stage whereby you will reach your maturity stage. And what that means is you're going to stop growing. You're going to stop growing. And if you stop growing, naturally what happens? If you stop growing, that means you're not going to grow anymore. What's going to happen? You are going to decline. The same thing here. At maturity stage, as a human being, you're fully grown. This is your adulthood. After reaching your adulthood, let's say 40 years or so, usually 40 years and a bit above, you have overgrown, you have reached your maturity, and you cannot grow anymore. So what happens? You will decline. Okay, declining means old age will come. Okay, old age will come. Okay, so these are the stages of a product's life cycle, of course, compared to our human life cycle. Is that clear? Any questions, please?
Sorry, Mr. Fofana.
Yes, sir.
Does it mean that the life cycle of the product starts from development, whereas in the traditional, when we are considering the traditional, that will start from the introduction?
Introduction, exactly so. Yes, that is true. When you look at life cycle costing, you look at everything else. You cannot start from the introduction. Something must have happened before the product comes into being. Okay? Because one, there might be some research and development, you know, costs that must have been incurred before you can even produce the product. Okay? There might be some costs relating to patents, copyrights. There might be costs relating to the machinery that are going to use to produce the product, and so on and so forth. So all those things will happen at development stage. Okay, is that clear?
Mr. Fowler.
Yes. The inception that you have said, does it mean the development?
Yes, from inception. Inception means development, yes. Inception means development, yes.
Yes, if you can please share this note, it's not yet shared. It's the environment that was shared.
Sorry, what you said? What's not here?
The life cycle lecture notes.
Oh yeah. I'll do that. I'll definitely do that. Yes, I'll do that. I'll do. No, actually, I think it's all part of the first set I said. Target costing is on the same lecture notes as the life cycle costing, but it's the slides that differ. I'm going to share the slides immediately I'm done. I'm going to download it and then share with you. Is that okay? But the main notes that is in PDF contains life cycle costing as well. Is that the case?
Yes, let me check it. Yes, I see the life cycle.
Yes, it's there. It's the slides that differ, okay? The PowerPoint. So I'm going to share the PowerPoint after the class, inshallah, okay? Okay, so any observations, anything before we move?
Mr. Fofana?
Yes, Ibrahim.
Yeah, we are talking of product life cycle.
Okay.
Like here, product starts from development, introduction, growth, and maturity.
Yes.
So, like in this case, if the product is at the maturity,
okay,
what techniques can you do, to come back to maybe introduction stage?
Very good question. Yes, very good question. If a product reaches maturity, you can do a lot of things to take it back before it declines. And this is exactly what is happening in the technology industry. If you look at, let's use the mobile phone, technology, with particular reference to Samsung and Apple, the iPhone. Okay, you see, last year there was iPhone 11. Okay, there was normal iPhone 11, then you have iPhone 11 Pro, then you have iPhone 11 Pro Max. The three of them came together. Okay, that was last year. People have used them. Okay, they love them. So when it was coming for the first time, a lot of people were very eager in getting them. Samsung also is the same thing, because Samsung is definitely in competition with Apple, even though Apple is, of course, the market leader when it comes to mobile phone. Okay, so what happens is people bought iPhone 11, any of the versions, either 11 normal or the Pro or the Pro Max, okay, and then they used it. So usually they will use it for a couple of months, for almost up to a year, and then not us here, but the people, the people in the West, they tend to lose taste of products very easily. So by the end of the 11th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th month, they are fed up. They will be fed up with that version. Okay? So once they are fed up, then that means what's going to happen is at that stage, the product will reach its maturity. Okay? Because at maturity stage, the most important thing that happens is the sales will remain the same. This is the period where sales will be at its peak, but it cannot go beyond that. So when the sales are at its peak, then now what's going to happen? The sales are going to decline because people are going to lose the taste of the product. So the same thing here. So good question, Ibrahim, you asked. So at that stage, they will try to introduce a new version. This is why just a couple of weeks ago, the iPhone 12 is also out. I don't know about Samsung. I don't follow Samsung. Samsung is not my, it's not my favorite. I love the iPhones. But a couple of weeks ago, the iPhone 12, I think, was also out, was already out. So now what's going to happen is people are not going to lose appetite of iPhone, because at maturity stage, they've already replaced it with a newer version. So good question, Ibrahim. Once you reach maturity stage, the wise, CEOs or CFOs, or the organizations that want to stay afloat, what they will do is once they reach maturity stage, they will, how to call it, develop the product in such a way that it will go back to kind of a new model, so that customers' taste can, dwindle back to the newer version, and then they will not push themselves out of the market. Okay, so it's just like the television industry as well. Before, it used to be the how to call it, the black and white TV, and then there was this color TV, the color TV with the TV cornerbar, I call it, the TV that has got a big stomach in quotes, the big one that are very heavy. If you want to lift them, it becomes very, very difficult. So from black and white to those heavy big TVs, okay, and then they keep improving it. Now from those big heavy TV, they've tried to modify it to make it how to call it, not a smart TV as such, but a slim TV. Okay, instead of being big and very heavy to carry, they've reduced the size. You can see it. And then now what they have done is they have moved from that to LCD types. The LCDs are, they have their visibility is very, very good, and their definition is very, very high. Now from LCD, now the TV industry is moving to smart TVs. Okay, so people have lost taste of all of them. Now it's the smart TVs that are, in the market. Okay, so that each time it wants to reach maturity level, they will kind of how to call it, rebrand the product and then try to kind of reintroduce it so that the taste of the majority of their customers will still be maintained. Okay, so this is the way it works. Okay, that was a good question, Ibrahim. Okay, any question? Yes.
I just want to add one or two things on what you have mentioned.
Okay.
Based on in our country here, the products we are using, especially attire, China green tea.
Okay.
We normally start from many China, especially Jimun, El Hela, and so forth.
Okay.
But
good.
right now, Black Star is in the peak.
Okay.
You understand?
Actually, I'm not an attire fan. I don't even know the difference between them.
I understand. What they normally do is they only change the packet and the brand name, but the product inside is all the same, because there is no difference between those attires we were drinking before and today's attire.
The one now. Okay. Well, that might be right. That might be right.
Things, yeah, they only do that.
That might be
those
right.
ones techniques that people use, to modify the products so that it can come back to introductions.
Yes, I know. I know the branding and the rebranding aspect is really, really very, very important. So yes, that's a good question. That's a good example as well. That's a good example, because I remember when we used to start drinking attire, it was Mbas. We call it Mbas in those days. And from Mbas, everybody has kind of moved to gunpowder. But now it's very difficult seeing gunpowder, and people have started rebranding them and calling them all sort of names. And the irony is all of them come from the same tree that you can have your tea, your normal tea. They all come from the tea tree, all the attire. So now it depends on how you process it. Are you going to process it to produce a green tea, or are you going to process it to get black tea? Okay, so all of them are from one tree. Okay, so good one. Okay, any other contributions before we move? Okay, so we're going to move, right. So product life cycle stages and its effects on the business. Okay, the first stage we say is the development stage. Okay, this is the stage where we do our research and development. Okay, we know what's research and development. This is when you will, do a lot of study to try to see, how the product is gonna be, how you can produce it in the first place, development, how you develop on the prototypes, and so on and so forth. So this is also the design stage where you can design the project, where you can, of course, do the production, all these stages. And this involves no sales at all because it's a simple thing. The product has not come into being, so you cannot realize any sales income. But what happens is only cost, cost, cost. Okay? The research aspect of it is a cost. The development aspect is a cost. The designing, the production, because that's the stage whereby you have to buy patent rights, you have to buy production machines, and so on and so forth. Okay? So very critical stage. And some products, some business don't survive this stage. At the development stage, they could not, proceed further, and then it's gonna, the concept is gonna die down at that stage. So the next stage is the introduction stage. So introduction stage, at this stage, of course, the product must have been designed, it must have been produced, and ready for market. Okay, so ready for market. The business effects at this stage will be what? The product is not well known. Okay, because it's not well known, the taste will be, people don't have the taste, they don't know whether it's a very good product, whether it's sweet, whether it's going to meet their needs, and so on and so forth. This is not the case with some of the products. This is a general product, stages of product life, but some don't necessarily have to follow this product. Because a typical example is the phone, the iPhone we are talking about. Okay, by the time you introduce, in fact, this is when the sales will be very high, because this is a product that people have been using before. So what happens is they have rebranded it. Okay, so they have rebranded it. And they all know, of course, if it is rebranded, meaning they have improved on it. Okay, so take note of that. There are some exceptions. Okay, so this is the period where the product is launched to the market. Of course, very low sales, and there could be very high business risk. Okay, that's the risk that the product might, in fact, not be profitable. You might not, in fact, recover your costs of production and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's a very, very crucial stage. Okay, and it's also a stage whereby you can make additional losses by, by issuing out some, loss leaders. Okay, what loss leaders are is that these are products that are given out free to customers so they can taste it and give their feedback. Okay, so the third stage is the growth stage. Okay, this is the stage whereby customers will start developing interest in the product. Of course, sales will increase at this stage. Sales is going to increase, sales is going to grow as well, and of course, profitability will start, popping up. So profitability will start coming. So we will start registering some profits, okay? Because sales grow, and as such, profits will also grow. So the fourth stage is at the maturity stage, okay? This is a very, very, very important stage. Just like human beings, this is at our adulthood. Okay, very important for us. And this is the stage where most of you are in. That's the stage where you are at the university, or you're going to finish university education. And then this is the stage whereby you will, get married to the best of your, your choices. And this is the stage also whereby, if you're lucky to get a good employment, you can buy your house, you can buy your home, you can buy your car and stuff like that. So that's the maturity stage, same as the product. This is the best stage because this time sales will be at its peak. So since sales will be at its peak, profitability will also be at its peak. Okay, very important stage. But just like Ibrahim observed, this is the stage whereby you have to know that after this stage is something else. Okay, actually, if you've over-enjoyed up to certain extent, the next thing is what? the other side of it. Okay, so the other side of it. And that other side will be, unfortunately, the decline or the old age. Okay, but at stage 4, you can manage it in such a way that it can go back to stage 2 and then 3 and then go to 4 again. Okay, depending on the type of business strategy your organization has. Okay, so the decline stage, of course, people get fed up with the product. Human beings are human beings. No matter how sweet something is, after a certain period, they tend to, feel bored about it, and then, their interest for the product or services will definitely, diminish, and as such, the sales demand will diminish. And of course, if sales come down, then that means the organization will stop registering profit, and it can go into loss-making situation. Okay, so these are the 5 stages. Let's look at some elements of a product's life cycle cost. So we looked at the stages. We know each stage when we expected to register high sales, low sales, high profitability, and of course we know the cost implication of each of the stages as well. So once we know that, now we can move to the elements of a product's life cycle cost. So the research and development costs, we've talked about the 4th stage, which is development stage. So the development stage, you're going to incur some research and development costs, which include designing, testing. The designing can include, if it is a chemical or something, the lab works, the laboratory works, and so on and so forth. Okay, the testing, the production processes, the equipment cost, and so on and so forth. Okay. The cost of purchasing and technical data required will also be another cost. The training costs, manufacturing or production costs, marketing costs will include customer service care, deliveries, and so on and so forth, field maintenance, brand promotion, that will include advertisements on print media, advertisement on social media, and so on and so forth. Okay, distribution costs. Okay? So these are some of the cost elements that we can experience. So we look at the benefits of life cycle costing. The benefits are enormous. Okay, the benefits are plenty. What do you think could be one of the benefits? Okay, what do you think could be one of the benefits?
Mr. Favara,
Yes.
it helps you to determine the profitability of the product.
Very good. It helps you to determine profitability of the product even before you start going into production, just like the life cycle costing. Okay? Sorry, just like the target costing. Very, very, okay? That's one benefit. What's another benefit? Of course, it helps you in your investment decision, okay? You have to, do some costing, do some analysis, and then you need to, factor time value of money and so on and so forth, so that you can be able to choose between product A or product B when it comes to manufacturing. So you will have already known that this is the total life cycle benefits. This is the total life cycle cost. Then when you compare them, of course, the product with the highest net benefit will be considered first. Okay. So it helps, of course, in decision making, in investment appraisal, like I said, in choosing projects, in choosing products, in choosing various service areas and so on and so on. Okay. So it considers the pre-life cost of products. That's the research and development cost. This is the costs that are associated with the product before it comes into being, unlike the traditional costing techniques. Okay. we have some challenges. Sometimes it might be difficult to calculate. Why? Because it relates to costs. How to call it? It relates to costs that will happen in the future, and the costs and benefits that will happen in the future have to be discounted to their present value in order to be able to take any decision. So it might be a bit difficult to calculate. Okay. Future cash flows need to be discounted, of course, which may be complicated, just like I've said. Due to uncertainties of the future, life cycle costing and revenue calculations may not be reliable for decision making due to unrealistic discount rates and estimates of capital allowances. These are, some of the factors, macroeconomic factors, that may not make it possible to rely on the calculations that much. Okay, so those are some of the challenges that we can face, that we are faced with. Okay, so any questions, please? Any questions? We gotta move.
Mr. Fofana.
Yes, sir.
A life cycle, whether does it only consider the production department, like the one producing the product, or the customer can also be considered in how long he is going to use that product?
No, what it considers is always from the organization's level, the organization that is going to produce. Okay, is going to look at overall, if you produce this particular product, what will be the overall sales revenue that is expected and at which periods. Okay, and what will be the total cost in terms of materials, in terms of labor, in terms of overhead over the period of the product. Then you kind of discount all of them to the present values, and then you'll be able to take a decision as to whether this particular product will be profitable. And then in case you have a situation whereby you have to analyze more than one product, then you'll be able to choose which one to go for. Okay, but from customers' end, no, you are not concerned with that, because you are talking about a situation whereby you can employ target costing. Okay, so you can in fact use target costing, in conjunction with this life cycle costing, to be able to look at the customer's point of view as well. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good.
Mr. Fofana, I think here, like it means like how your product is going to live in the market by competing with other products.